Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the HR Department of the Year Awards 2021 kickoff event. My name is Scott Rosen, founder of the HR Department of the Year Awards and president of the Rosen Group, and very excited to have everyone joining us this morning. So we're going to go through our agenda. We'll have some background information about the HR Awards program, and then we're going to kick off our event and have Kristen Joyner and her team talk about their HR best practices and a little bit about their journey through the HR Awards program, and then we'll recap and Q&A and then closing remarks. And we have about an hour this morning. We're going to try to stick to that timeline. So just a little bit of background about the HR Awards program. It was founded in 1998. We have continuously run the program since then. And the founding principle was that HR professionals and departments should get more recognition for what they do and the different contributions they have within their organizations. We wanted to raise the bar for HR, and we believe that we contribute to that over the 24 years. So we are hosted today by myself, David Panett from Challenger Gray and Christmas, and John Ford from Tryon, and John Toohey from Salvis and Stetson Group. And we're grateful to have them as partners and hosts for this program. We also could not produce this program without our amazing sponsors. The diamond level sponsor is Kelly Benefit Strategies, and you're going to hear from Ben Dutcher today. And also Jason Danner is with Kelly as well. At the silver level, we have Contemporary Staffing Solutions represented by Evan Violet today. Emerson Group represented by Bill Emerson. Double Star. And HR Computes, Morrissey and Kell, and Double Star. I apologize. I think Tony Trasati is not here today, and I will get you the name for Double Star. Diversified Search Group as our bronze level. Meditation for Leadership, Steve Cohen. Salvis and Stetson Group, John Toohey, and Diversified would be Judy Borum. Oh, it's Christine Tresky. I'm so sorry, Christine. About the 2021 awards, we are going back to our traditional format this year. So and I guess the main difference is, let's just say, an increase in the competitive spirit of the program. Last year, because of the immense factors due to the pandemic and everything else going on, we decided to make it more of an honoring process. But again, we're going to go back to a competitive spirit this year. Important dates to know are the applications are due on August 4th if you're interested in applying. Finalists will be announced on August 20th, and then the award celebration will take place on November 11th. We're hoping it will be a live event, but we'll have to see what the controllable variables will be up until that point. There is, again, going to be a judging process. We have an amazing group of judges. Many of them are CHROs and heads of HR, and many are past winners. So that will be part of the process. So I'd like to start out. We're going to just do a few short sponsor spotlights. Our first spotlight is going to be with Emerson Group, and Bill Emerson is going to just say a few words about his organization and sponsorship of the HR Awards.
Sure. Thank you, Scott. Good morning, everybody. Yes, as Scott mentioned, I am Bill Emerson. I'm president of Emerson Group. We are a staffing and recruiting firm located in Morristown, New Jersey. I'm actually a second generation owner. We're happy to be celebrating our 50th year in business this year. My parents purchased a Dunhill franchise back in 1971 Some of you may be familiar with the old Dunhill name. So we were Dunhill at Cherry Hill for 29 years prior to becoming Emerson Group in 2000. We're excited to be a sponsor for the HR Department of the Year Awards and really look forward to helping any way we can. You'll notice we're actually sponsoring as Emerson HR. Emerson HR is a division of Emerson Group that specializes in the placement of HR professionals on both a direct hire and contract basis. Carme Cipriati is a 30-year veteran in the industry, and she leads the division and does a great job. Emerson Group's other services revolve around office administration with a heavy focus in customer service, call center personnel, and then just general operations. But thank you. We look forward to helping continue the success of this event.
Thank you, Bill. And next, I'd like to introduce Evan Violet, who is representing Contemporary Staffing Solutions.
Yeah, thank you, Scott. And thank you, Bill. It's a pleasure to be a sponsor alongside with such a wonderful company as Emerson Group. Contemporary Staffing Solutions is proud to be sponsoring the HR Department of the Year Awards. We've now been involved for quite a few years, and every year it just keeps getting better. And I really believe it's because of all the wonderful HR people in our Philadelphia market. So we couldn't be more honored to be a part of this and continue supporting the efforts moving forward for years to come. Contemporary Staffing Solutions is a 27 years young national recruitment firm. We've got different business units in areas of focus nationwide, specializing in human resources, accounting and finance, office support and call center, sales and marketing, and information technology. We partner with our customers to place contract and permanent professionals nationwide. We also just recently rebranded our information technology division that's a Salesforce certified partner called PeerGenix. So we are able to partner with organizations to implement and manage services for their Salesforce platform and any Salesforce professionals for the organization. So as the managing director, I'd be more than happy to answer questions or field introductions to the right people at our organization, and appreciate the opportunity to talk a little bit about our team over here, Scott. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Evan. So next, I'm going to introduce Ben Dutcher, account executive with Kelly Benefit Strategies, and Ben is going to introduce our group from AAA today. Here you go, Ben.
Great. Thanks so much, Scott. Appreciate it. And good morning, everyone. Our team at Kelly Benefits is proud to partner this year once again with the HR Awards, as we have for the past few years. And briefly, if you're not familiar with Kelly Benefits, we're a group of employee benefits consultants that are focused on helping clients improve employee health, productivity, and engagement while controlling their benefits costs. So we're privileged to serve many of the leading brands in the region, including several prior winners of the HR Department of the Year Awards. And today, as Scott said, it's my pleasure to introduce today's speakers. First, we have Kristen Joyner. She's the Executive Vice President and Chief HR Officer for AAA Club Alliance. Prior to joining AAA in December of 2018, Kristen was Vice President of Human Resources for the Healthcare, Higher Education, and Facilities Division of Aramark. In this role, she led HR strategy, workforce planning, organizational effectiveness, and talent development for more than 75,000 corporate and field operations employees across service lines, including retail, patient, and student food services, facility services, and healthcare technologies. During her 10 years with Aramark, Kristen held HR Vice President Division and line of business roles with increasing responsibility across the corporate business, healthcare, and facilities market segments. Prior to Aramark, Kristen served as Vice President for Human Resources for the Americas Bath and Kitchen Division at American Standard Companies. She also held HR roles of increasing responsibility in corporate and field operations with Allied Signal, Honeywell, and Pepsi Cola. Kristen is a graduate of Cornell University with a master's degree in industrial and labor relations, and she also holds a bachelor's degree in sociology from Drew University. And joining Kristen today are the following members of the AAA HR team. We have Debbie Mayer, who's the VP of Talent, Rewards, and HR Systems. We have Kim Zolkowski, the Vice President of Learning, Planning, and Communications, and Pam Balbier, Managing Director of Human Resources, Business Partners, and Talent Acquisition. So with that, Kristen, I will turn it over to you.
Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction for myself and my team. Thanks also to Scott for asking us to be a part of this. The entire Rosen Group, Challenger Grand Christmas, Salveson Stetson, and Tryon. So I've met through this process or prior partnerships many of the folks at these organizations, and I've been enriched, and my teams have been enriched by their partnership and by their best practice sharing with us. So myself and my team are thrilled to be here. Let me tell you just a little bit more about AAA Club Alliance, and we can go to the next slide as I speak to this. AAA Club Alliance, for those of you who might not know, is part of the AAA Federation. We're one of the largest clubs in that federation with over 5,000 associates and serving over 6 million members. So we are thrilled to be here, and we had a wonderful experience last year going through the process for HR Department of the Year and really sharing what our team was able to accomplish, as well as many other teams, in such a trying, but also at the same time rewarding year. So we're going to take you through a couple of things. First off, our team has had in place a set of strategic pillars, which you see on the screen, that help to drive what we focus on and how we deliver HR programs and processes to the organization. And all of that is in service of fostering a culture where our associates can thrive. And so you can see it's broken up into the areas of talent, culture, efficiency and effectiveness, and total rewards. And if those were all in black font, those are all the things that we strive to achieve and work on an annual basis, some more than others. But last year, really with the COVID pandemic, we were able to balance, and I'm so proud of that, our focus and pivot to respond to COVID-19, which obviously, as everyone knows, we are continuing to do to this day, but also balance that with a continued focus on strategic imperatives moving forward. And so my team's going to take you through a little bit of both of those pieces. Some of the creative solutions that we put in place, which will live beyond COVID-19 and influence our culture and influence the way we do work and influence our efficiency as we move forward, that were it not for COVID, we probably would not have done those things for many years. So there is some good that has come out of being pushed in the way that this pandemic has pushed us. But also some of the strategic drivers, especially on the total rewards side and the talent side, that were part of our agenda. Maybe they were pushed to the back burner for just a little bit, but the team quickly picked those back up after, I'd say, maybe two or 3 months, and executed against some pretty large deliverables at the same time we were doing all of the COVID response. And I would say that while it was an all play from a COVID response for every part of our business, every function, every line of business, it was led by, in large part, the talented individuals you're about to hear from. So I'm thrilled that Debbie, Kim, and Pam can join me today to share the great work that they and their teams did all throughout 2020 that are informing 2021. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Pam, and she's going to focus on the COVID response, and then Kim and then Debbie will take us through some of the strategic imperatives that continued to be executed and deployed at the same time as COVID. So I will turn it over to Pam.
Great. Thank you, Kristen. Thank you, everyone, for the opportunity to be here today. And special thanks to Kristen for asking us to join her today. Her leadership through this entire year has been amazing, and many of these efforts couldn't have been possible without her leadership, but also the partnership between myself, Kim, and Deb. So while I have a group, just want to say thank you to all of them. So as Kristen mentioned, we quickly pivoted in response to the pandemic. And I'm sure as every organization, you said strategic initiatives, priorities for the year, those tend to change throughout the year and you need to change with those. But 2020 was like no other year. I often tell this story. I had a team member who went on PTO, and the day that she left, we had our first COVID case. And by the time she had come back, we had sent everyone to working virtually, and pretty much were shut down for a good month. But one of the key things that we did that I think helped us through our success of managing and navigating the pandemic was a cross-business task force that was established and led by myself in partnership with other HR folks. We were the primary conduit to the executive team, providing all of business line feedback to them and helping to drive continued engagement and targeted communication so that associates, whether they were at home or as things started to ease, we had groups in our retail stores and our fleet return to work. We were doing that in partnership with business lines and the executive team. We created so many great tools, business continuity plans. Many of them were existing but had been outdated, and definitely a takeaway is that we know that we need to continue to update those and emergency type protocols. Kim Zolkowski and her team created amazing playbooks and videos that helped associates to feel more confident when they did need to return to the workplace. And then we also took an opportunity to make sure that not only were we doing things from a total rewards perspective and a benefits perspective, but partnering with our business lines to make sure that we were looking at new opportunities. And through that, we were able to create a contact tracing group who provided virtual opportunities and preserve jobs. So one of our large business lines is travel agents. Obviously, travel was greatly impacted during this pandemic. This contact tracing was the ability to pivot those travel agents who have great customer service skills to assisting in different ways. And critical to that was partnership with our talent acquisition team and our training team and our IT teams to get that group up and running in less than a month. But really proud that we were able to preserve quite a few jobs and retain really critical talent. As we move out of the pandemic, we know that people are going to want to travel and we wanted to keep those key associates. We also focused on associate well-being. So all of our decisions, first and foremost, were with the associates' well-being in mind. And one of the things that we quickly learned through this process was that didn't only mean physical. Many people were sheltered at home by themselves. Many people were financially impacted. As I said, we have travel agents who were impacted. So you had mental well-being, financial well-being, and we partnered with our benefits team to create workshops, financial webinars. We created resources so that our associates could go online to do homeschooling for their children. And then through it all, it was really proud again of the flexibility that our managers showed through partnership with our HR business partner team, really navigating this to make sure that they're communicating and engaging with their associates in different ways. I said we're always a counselor somewhat in HR, but in 2020, we were counselor, nurse, physician, you name it. The HRBP team had responses for it and navigated that along with our associates and our management team. We really pushed associate recognition and corporate citizenship campaigns. The corporate citizenship team did some really unique campaigns regarding number of steps and prizes and things of that nature to keep folks engaged. Virtual learning and coaching tools. So all of our training was done virtually. As you can see there, we had 132% WebEx engagement. we talk about in our organization equal size boxes. So many of us spend a good portion of our day in equal size boxes right now. And then virtual town hall events, again, making sure that we are connecting leaders and associates to foster transparency, to answer live questions about their concerns, and then again, pivoting with that COVID task force team to tie that all together. So that was a lot. But again, just really proud of the work that HR and ACA has done to navigate this. It's new to everyone, and I'm sure every organization on this call have experienced things and learned, right? And we're continuing to learn together and look forward to continued partnership. So from that, I'm going to turn it over to Kim Zukowski.
I want to do a quick shout out, and as you can probably imagine, as you hear us all talk to the highlights of what we accomplished in 2020, it took a team, right? And Kristen had outlined our pillars, and Pam, this is going to be the shout out moment for all of us. I think under Pam's leadership and her hard work in bringing that business continuity team together, helped shepherd the whole organization through many of those initiatives that she outlined. So it is, and it does take a village. Every HR department talks about that, about the partnership across the board. But in 2020, it was definitely apparent that HR plays such a pivotal role in what happened during the pandemic. But to Kristen's point earlier, keeping us aligned to the strategic direction of where we go as an organization. And I'm going to take a few minutes to talk you through what we accomplished during talent or in the areas of talent and culture. So as we're going through the pandemic, right, on the flip side, we also had to run our business. And a lot of that had to do with ensuring that our associates understood our employee value proposition and that we had a consistent brand message that resonated with our job candidates, differentiated us from our competitors, and carried us through the associate's journey with ACA as a key effort for the organization. Our talent acquisition team, through a partnership with our internal creative services team, create an employee value proposition, make connections, look forward, go beyond. And that really is what our mantra is as we move into 2021. We're aligning this message enterprise-wide through all of our business lines because it does mirror what we want our associates to know when they're applying for a job, and their opportunities as they work with ACA. So that was really a strong opportunity that we were doing during that pandemic. But we also had to grow our talent, right? We had made some good strides in 2019 as we looked at our talent review process, but in 2020, we took it to another level for us as an organization. We implemented our first full talent review, and what does that mean? It meant standardizing our nomenclature, calibration, creating action plans, but really looking at all of our directors and above in a leadership role, but also our high potential managers. It was really a strong exercise in our path forward to ensure that our associates are engaged and growing with the organization. And what does that result in? So I'll quickly share with you that for 2021, we're continuing the actions that were identified in 2020. We're about to launch our first Leadership Development Day, where we have 18 associates in 3 groups. And what's really key about that is that they're having the opportunity, either the high potential managers or the directors, to meet one-on-one with 6 of our executives, to get to talk about not only how the executives' leadership journey led them through their career, but to highlight some of their individuals' career interests and what some next steps will be. We learned through our talent review process that there's a need for more visibility of our up-and-coming leaders, and this was really targeted to help them through that journey. But we also applied a Clifton Strengths Assessment that they took to help identify some practical tools and insights as to how they can grow. So we're currently handling that with 18 associates, and then towards the end of the year, we'll do another 12 associates to bring a total of 30 going through that process. So that was a really big move. The other was our executive education. So during our talent review process in 2020, we identified about 9 to 12 leaders. So those would be our managing directors or officers that would benefit some additional education, networking opportunities throughout our communities. So we partnered with Exec Online, who has programs from Wharton, Stanford, MIT, Columbia that harnessed some really high-level executive education. But the benefit in this day and age now with COVID and everything being virtual is that they don't have to travel. It's about 5 hours a week, and they get to partner with peers in other organizations and share their learnings. And we were able to target the participants to those areas of competencies where they might need to grow. So as we went through our talent review of 2020, those actions and lessons learned carried over into 2021, and we're excited to be launching that revised program this year. Now, diversity, equity, and inclusion was on our radar for 2020, and we did some really great work. We started with not only our awareness campaign of encouraging associates to bring their whole selves to work and highlighting calendars and events that represent the uniqueness of our associates, right? They spend a lot of time at work. We wanted them to feel represented and included. But we also focused on providing DEI education to all associates. And what's key to that is we started with our HRBPs, providing some core background, and then we expanded that to building inclusive teams for all of our directors and above. Now, this program was a subset of a program that our executive team went through towards the end of 2019. So what we did was continued our messaging throughout our different categories of associates to make sure that it was consistent and aligned so that everybody had the opportunity to participate. So not only did we do building inclusive teams, we did allyship education for all associates, and then we also offered listening support circles for those associates that self-identified as a person of color. And this all stemmed around the murder of George Floyd that occurred back in June, and we needed to respond to show our associates that we were listening to them. And it was very, very important that we called that out. We also looked at our talent acquisition team, and they did a lot of work in identifying and ensuring that we had 100% slate diversity for all directors and above positions. Now, we are at the beginning of our journey in DEI, and a lot of work is on the table for 2021 and beyond to make sure that we stay focused and continue that messaging. Now, social justice was something that we focused on in 2020 as well, and that was really important. It was the first time as an organization that our leadership came forward and talked about and communicated to our associates that ACA condemns injustice and discrimination of any kind, and reaffirmed our commitment to live by our shared values, including respect. We got a lot of positive feedback from our associates who outreached to our CEO directly, thanking him for stepping forward and raising this and putting this on our radar. But it didn't stop there. We actually continued that message, and we asked associates to recommend local organizations that were making a difference in their communities that would benefit from ACA's partnership and financial support. We had a good response. About 40 associates brought forward their recommendations, and we created a committee of associates from different levels and across our footprint and across our different lines of business. And we used a selection criteria, including that all organizations submitted needed to be a 501c3 with a history of championing social justice and racial equality work on behalf of Black Americans. The organization needed to be led by people of color, and that the nominating associate volunteers or had an affiliation with that recommendation. That was key, right? So when we went through that criteria of the 40, we identified 9 organizations that were in our communities that partnered with our associates and our members that would be supported by ACA. We announced our presentations more broadly, providing press releases in the corresponding markets, but we wanted to ensure that our associates and members were aware of our actions and our support in the communities. Now, in light of current events that happened in Atlanta, we also offered this year listening support circles for those associates that self-identified as Asian American and Pacific Islander to continue that message that we support our associates and everything that they do in our communities, and things that we face in society today. So again, like Pam, I shared a lot of information about the hard work and efforts that ACA has undergone, not only in COVID and the pandemic, but in response to continuing our strategic initiatives of talent and culture and the broad spectrum of the efforts that we had underway. And I'm really excited to turn this over to Debbie Mayer, who's going to talk more about our efforts in Total Rewards. Debbie?
Thank you, Kim. I've got to also mirror my peers and their gratitude. I was very fortunate to join this team only a little over a year ago. And without their experience and their partnership, it wouldn't have been as successful for me to be an example of how you can onboard and lead well in a virtual environment. And it takes from a lot of the great history at AAA. I also joined when there was a great strategic move for a 5-year plan, and I was able to jump right in to a lot of that application, but also with taking into perspective what it means in a pandemic. And that allowed us to lift and shift as needed, but also to still get a lot done. And as I take you through some of these strategies, I will highlight in some ways how COVID enhanced it. In looking at our total rewards focus, we wanted to bring value in our benefit strategy, not only to each individual needs, but also thinking about across a multiple generation. We had a plan in place to implement a new health plan model, and a lot of that work happened in 2020. That opportunity was to bring a coupled benefit strategy with a concierge solution along with a new medical plan provider, and essentially provide a one-stop shopping for our employees. And it provides a single high-touch advocacy resource to improve their understanding and their engagement in care management. How do you do that in an environment in a pandemic with a lot of your workforce is virtual and some are essential workers and are still out in the field? A virtual benefits fair. This tool gave us a great opportunity to provide an environment that worked for many employees in a mobile environment or on their computer. So whether they're sitting at home in a desktop or out in the field, they can visit a virtual benefits fair in the same way they would have done in their work environment in the past, even looking like a convention hall where they can visit booths and look at vendor information. And during open enrollment, we could even have sessions one-on-one with vendors where they could listen to the new products being offered to them. That virtual environment extended throughout the year. Now we have this for all our new hire enrollments. So there was a learning from our pandemic of what can work well for our workforce when you step outside the box. We also have a strategic wellness focus in our environment. And in 2020, we coupled that and became great partners with communications and their corporate citizenship campaigns. And we brought those campaigns into our wellness platform and allowed employees to earn incentives toward their already designed wellness opportunities. So it was seamless to employees, what they were doing in a corporate citizen mindset, and also doing for their wellness and for their communities. So we had step up campaigns, get out and move when you're in a virtual environment, or we're on a roadside service in a lot of your work hours. What can you do to eat more nutritiously? What can you do for healthy eating, steps for feeding America? And we also have a seasonal giving campaign that we wrapped in with our wellness opportunities and volunteerism. We also saw a strategic opportunity in our time off programs. We have started work on comparing all of our benefits line by line. And early on in 2020, we learned that we needed to allow employees to borrow from their PTO, looked at emergency pay. That also made us look at our whole paid time off program. And we saw an opportunity, even though we're over competitive, we were not in our holiday environment. And we saw in our DEI work that we needed to recognize individual needs and more work-life flexibility. So we added and specified a Martin Luther King holiday in our paid time program for holidays. And we added a flex holiday. So employees could use that for their own personal needs and their family needs for a designated holiday versus taking away from their family vacation. We also rolled out our PTO right off the bat for 2021, advancing paid time off, allowing employees to use time before it was earned which has been very helpful again with vaccine planning on individual concerns. In our compensation strategy, we looked at our compensation structure and how did it support the business and our tenure and our career planning. And we found that we needed to expand our salary grades. And like many programs, they go in progression as you get higher in your career and broader bands. We didn't go to a broadband system, but what we realized is that our ranges were too tight and did not work with our career progression strategy. And just by expanding them, we had a better environment, still controlled compensation budget, and a better career progression for our employees. In that work, we also started to attack some things on our reward targets and our bonus eligibility. So we looked at where do our jobs align to the market for bonus eligibility and where can we be more competitive and emphasize bonus where employees contribute and have an impact on the business and be competitive. And where are we properly aligned in our job leveling? And we made some tough decisions about some legacy situations that we had in place about job leveling in order to properly align employees to the right roles, the right titles, and the right reward structure for long-term growth opportunity for themselves and their roles and strength with our workforce. In that, coming out of those programs, we also looked at where do we measure our bonus potential? And not everyone in the same bonus program was being measured and rewarded in the same manner. We moved to a scorecard. We aligned ourselves to the market in what we were measuring, how we were measuring it, how we were rewarding it. And as an example, we were paying out on reward potential for threshold at 80% of target and max potential at 120. And we decided that we need to emphasize if you are over delivering for the organization, we're gonna reward higher on your performance. And if you're not going to meet our target, it needs to be proportionate for where we're delivering. So we moved our payout ranges to 50% to 150, which begins to give more reward opportunity and drive performance and outcomes. Other strategy areas that we touched were benefits in retirement. Like many companies, we have some grandfathered or legacy retirement programs, and we needed to look strategically at where we add value to the organization. Where do we need to enhance our tools and our ability to manage programs? And it's not in our programs that aren't moving and aren't going anywhere. So we worked with finance on a risk strategy change on pension to lift and shift some of that risk for those grandfathered retirement benefits. And then we also looked at our group of associates that still had retiree medical opportunities or those in a retirement stage. And we partnered with an outside professional who could bring a retiree benefit exchange to that population. The cost containment was better for those retirees. They had a wider range of selection and at most often better cost and also a better cost share for any arrangements that we had in place. And now we have employees working with professionals that can answer their questions and help guide them to the best selection in an ongoing environment. So that was one of the best projects we had all year because that freed up some of our benefits time to look at our strategic decisions about our benefit choices and our communication and our total rewards that we deliver to our associates. And with that, I will pass it back to Kristen. Thank you. Thank you, Debbie. So I guess everybody that's on the call can probably see why I'm so proud of my team over the last several minutes and why ACA is so fortunate to have those three leaders. As I shift and talk about 2021 and beyond, I do just want to point out Debbie started with ACA about a week before we all went home, and so was doing her onboarding, trying to learn the business at the same time as we were needing to execute against things. Kim led us through the things she talked about regarding social justice, which hit every organization, and every organization needed to figure out how we were going to respond. And Kim and her team led us through with some great ideas, engaged our associates, and really made a difference in that. And Pam's contributions from the leadership of the COVID task force. I'm sure when she started, didn't think it was going to still be going on at this point. But it's paving a path through a forest, and trying to figure out what's on the other side without knowing. So there's been so much great work. And as we pivot into 2021, a lot of the great work that they just spoke about will continue. They were the foundation for the next steps that we'll take. And so obviously our recovery and return to work and workplace for those who are, I'll say, in more of our administrative buildings, that planning continues literally today and in the coming months as vaccinations progress, much as many companies are doing. Simultaneously, we are looking at a longer term strategy of our operating model of the future. Again, many companies are looking at this. We've learned a lot about how we can be productive and effective. And does that mean everyone, we have large call center environments that take our roadside assistance calls and our membership calls. And they've pretty effectively proven that they can do that work remotely. We knew they could do it remotely sometimes because they were always prepared to do it during inclement weather. But now we've kind of demonstrated, and they have demonstrated that they can do it on a full-time basis. And so we're starting to look at not only what's our short-term response, but what's our long-term real estate strategy and operating model of the future. That work will be led, and the 3 leaders and myself that you just heard from will be involved in that work every step of the way. The other piece is, obviously, there's a lot of great strategic work that has happened over the past year. And it's a great reminder that we need to free up even more of our time to focus on those things. For everyone that's in a high-level manager role within the Human Resources, Learning, Planning, and Communications Department and above. And so the next thing that we're really focused on this year and beyond, it will not just be a one-year project, and phased work, is moving to a shared services model. And so the illustration on the right-hand side of the page is probably something familiar to many people. But how do we aggregate the transactional work so that our leaders can spend more time on strategic and forward-looking work that will enable our associates even further? And so we've begun that work already, starting at the end of 2020. We've surveyed and assessed how our teams are spending their time and where. And we have, one of our pillars is about efficiency and productivity. And this will be an area where we're going to focus this year on process mapping and understanding how we can do our work better, so that we have consistent, excellent internal client outcomes, while also being able to design world-class programs and deploy those to the organization. We're going to continue the DEI journey. Again, we are, I'd say in the maturity path, more at the beginning than the middle or the end. And so our diversity council and our business resource groups will be launched this year, and an enhanced campus strategy to continue to attract a full complement of individuals to the organization. And then, Debbie and her team are going to be focusing on a lot of new strategies from a total rewards perspective. We're going to revisit. We have a wonderful recognition program internally, but can we take that to the next level? How can we add appropriate point solutions? We have one for diabetes management. We're looking now at musculoskeletal. Our variable pay strategy. So we looked at the large annual bonus plan strategy last year and our compensation structure. We have a lot of people on variable pay, and those have been traditionally managed in the businesses, business line by business line, with influence and input from finance and human resources from a subject matter expertise standpoint. But we're going to take that to a much higher level in the coming year or two. And then a fresh look at our disability and leave processes. So the work continues, and there's a lot of meaty, impactful work for this team to continue to do. I have every confidence that we will push all of these things over the goal line, and hopefully be back maybe next year for another HR Department of the Year award. So with that, I thank everybody for their time, and I'll turn it, Scott, back to you.
Thank you, Kristen, very much and your team for a great presentation. I wanted to just do a couple more sponsor spotlights, and then we're going to have a Q&A and see what kind of questions. We're good on time. So Christine Tresky, would you like to talk a little bit about Double Star? You just have to unmute yourself. Hi, are you there? All right, then we'll come back to you, Christine, and we'll go to Morris Yankel, Principal of HR Computes.
Thank you so much, Scott. We love HR, and we're very excited to be partnering with Scott here and the team, the Rosen Group and the team on some current projects, actually, and now joining the HR Awards team as a sponsor. So when we talk about the services that we provide and how we consult with HR leaders, the response that we hear most often is, I wish I knew about you 6 months ago. So the pandemic has shown us how important technology is to business and to employees. In that spirit, we help companies optimize the systems and processes they have today, select their next right system and vendor, and then implement, but with a concentration on speed to business impact and HR transformation. We are the guide, the program manager, the coach, and if necessary, the bodyguard. For 30 years, we've helped HR technology transform engagement and process from candidate to retiree for healthcare, pharma, manufacturing, professional services, and other industries. We work with your team to make the vendor and the technology work for human resources, not the other way around. We love to talk HR tech, so please reach out. And we are so pleased to be here. A big thank you to Scott and the team. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Morris. And Christine, we'll circle back to you now from Double Star.
Yes, thank you. Sorry, technological difficulties there for a second. I want to say thank you to Scott and everybody. Double Star is a proud sponsor of the HR Department of the Year, and we have been for many years now. And we're very excited to be back for 2021. And we have a lot of friends out there, but if we haven't met you before and you're not familiar with Double Star, we are a talent acquisition firm. We're located out in Westchester, and we are celebrating our 28th year in business. We help our clients with their recruitment and hiring initiatives through project work and RPO. So hopefully we'll get the opportunity to see many of you in person this year. And again, just great and happy to be here as a sponsor. So thank you, Scott.
Thank you, Christine. So now we're going to talk about Q&A or have some questions here for AAA team. And I think, Janet Moran, you had a question. If you're willing to unmute yourself and just pose your question about listening circles and maybe elaborate a little bit, that would be great. And if not, I can take the question. Okay, it says you can't unmute. So I'm going to ask the question for you. And the question is, how do the listening circles work?
Sure. Kim, do you want to take that?
Absolutely, thank you. So for us, the listening circles were really required a lot of thought, right? What would work well for associates? Benchmarking, we saw that many were offering it and perhaps not very well. So we worked with a vendor. We had a consultant walk us through the process. We needed to make sure that they were separated from ACA itself. So we went through our HRIS technology, identified any associate that self-identified as a person of color, and then we reached out directly to them in an email, providing them the opportunity to participate and to register. That was the extent of how we touched it internally. We then had it set up so that they could register. We encouraged management that if somebody asked to participate, to make sure that they were flexible in the scheduling and that they could. We did hours in the evening, morning, afternoon to represent the different schedules. We're 24/7. And then we turned it over to the consultant who really had a conversation to dive into anything that might be of note, right? There was a lot of feeling, emotion pent up that we wanted them to feel safe, to share in an environment that they could ask some questions and get some guidance. Now, we didn't get an output of what that was. We got some directional follow-up actions. Most notably, two things occurred. Those that participated were thankful. We talked to our CHRO and our CEO thanking us for making that available, but that the journey couldn't stop there. What would come next? And then the second piece was that others that didn't get to participate in a listening circle was asking about, well, will there be one for us? So the second question we took offline, and then I shared that we did the one for the AAPI environment when it was warranted. But that's part of our journey and part of more research that we're going to do how to bring it forward. I can share the name of the consultant that worked with us. It was the Matola Group out of California. They did a really nice job in walking us through the process, providing us different consultants that we could talk to make sure that we aligned the right person for our environment. And it was pretty well received. So really good marks back on the evaluations on a broad sense on that opportunity.
Thanks, Kim. We have another question. Has COVID at all changed your view on the role that HR plays at AAA, and if so, how?
So I'll take that one. I would say it hasn't changed my opinion about the role of HR. But I think I'm sure that there are some leaders and managers who perceive the impact of the department in a different way than maybe they did had that occurred, that COVID not occurred over the past year. So HR is a strategic partner. I am to the CEO. I know that he views the function that way. And each group, I think has been a little bit more, decentralized in how they operate. And I think that this has really demonstrated for the organization the power and influence that the HR LPC team can have on their teams from an engagement perspective, from a retention and attraction standpoint, and really helping them to solve business problems and business issues. Not just the ones that are, traditionally in the HR bucket, but how can we provide the right, coaching and counseling to them in a myriad of different ways. So I don't think it's necessarily changed my perspective, but I do think there's been an impact on the perception of the team because of the fabulous work that was done.
Thank you, Kristen. One more question for you, Kristen, directly. Can you just share a little bit about your process of applying for the HR Awards program, why you decided to apply, and then maybe a little bit about what the process was like, and then what was the impact for your HR team and the rest of the organization?
Sure. So the process I think was maybe just a little bit different than under normal circumstances, but I was approached actually by one of a person from one of the sponsor companies to say, would you consider, doing this? We've heard about some of the great work that's been going on in your organization. And that's because there's so many, wonderful networking opportunities that have occurred over the last year across many different CHROs. I will say I was, touched that somebody, thought there was, enough great, sometimes you don't think you're doing stuff that's out of the ordinary, right? You're just doing what needs to get done. And, to hear someone say that, I said, my gosh, I know the team is working so hard and has done so much this year. I really want them, to be recognized for that. And for the really, truly impactful work that we do. This isn't just about delivering HR programs in the organization. This is truly about helping the organization deliver its business objectives. Pam talked about our contact tracing. That's been a significant revenue offset for us relative to some of the downside on travel. It hasn't made up all of travel, but that's something that our HR team helped to execute, which is now potentially an ongoing type of business strategy for us. So I wanted this team to be recognized for the great work that they did. the process was very simple. I submitted, some summary information about the different things that we had done thus far. I had some conversations along the way, about that work with members of the, I'll call it the selection committee, or whatever you call that, and it was great. My team was thrilled. I mean, we have a large team, and we support a lot of different pieces. We have a communications as well, and the enterprise project management office also reports up through us, in addition to the traditional HR sub-functions. And we made a big celebration out of it. We had a huge recognition for all of our entire team, and I had the award, and they saw it, and it was a tremendous positive for the organization to be recognized in that way.
Thank you, Kristen. Another question came up from our good friend Neil Cohen. And the question is, did you offer telework opportunities prior to the pandemic? And what have you communicated to employees about your position on this topic going forward?
So we did have some flexible arrangements. Approximately 400 people had varying different kinds of work from home strategies. And we have not yet communicated that we're going to have everyone back in the office or everyone remote or a hybrid. That's actually what we're working through right now. I think, we will land with some job roles probably being work from home. Some of what I mentioned in our contact centers, we've learned can be very productive at home. And then we have I think we'll probably end up with more hybrid than we had before. But that's what we're working through right now, making the decisions on what that means for continuing our culture and for ensuring that, this always is what we talk about, the magic that happens when people are together. So we have to figure out, how do you do that? But then how do you also not alienate those who may still remain at home? So, we're really working through some of the support mechanisms that we have to put in place if we do end up with a hybrid structure.
Great. So I'm going to just take one more quick question. And the question is, what vendor and technology do you use today? And what new technology did you implement in response to COVID?
Debbie, you want to take that?
Sure. I gave an example of the virtual benefits fair. That was a lifesaver for us. That really kept the momentum while we were changing a medical plan, to not have that opportunity to be out there in front and pushing the messages. So we had a stellar onboarding of the new medical and advocacy concierge partner. We use Workday, and we use several modules of that. And we continue to look at that strategically. What do we need to lift to support the organization? So as an example, we'll be adding a new knowledge database, and things we've learned from COVID is what does our internal customer want to use as their access to information and their tools. And I know Kim's team has used either more or new online technology to be able to do training online, whiteboards in circle environments and focus groups. We've also used our Workday to do our focus surveys. So we could lift that very quickly during COVID to get a pulse on what was going on with our organization and where our employee feelings were and what they wanted to see next.
Great. Thank you so much, Deborah. So we're going to wrap up here with a couple final thoughts. Just a reminder that applications are due on August 4th. Finalists will be announced on August 20th, and the award celebration will be on November 11th. I do want to mention that if you do have any questions, you can contact any of the partners, myself, John Toohey, David Panett, or John Ford. You can also talk to any of the sponsors, and they can get back to you. Also, Mark Spool, who is in charge of all the judges, would be able to give you information about the application and judging process as well. And we can get Mark's information and all of our information out to you. The recording and the slide deck will be sent to everybody participating, so you'll get a chance to get that. And really, that is basically all we have for today. And it's 10:59, so I think we're pretty close. So with that, I want to just thank everybody. I want to thank Kristen and her team. I want to thank all of the sponsors. And I wish everybody a great day today. Thank you so much.